million in new entitlements in there. Stop them before they go into effect. He says that we're the inflexible ones. We don't want to raise taxes. You're darn right we're not going to raise taxes.
That's right.
We are already oppressed. The president says that he has cut his federal budget to the bone. That is a lie. He is a liar. He is. He is a liar. I never thought I'd say that about a president of the United States, but he is a liar. And he has not cut his federal budget to the bone. He increases foreign aid 50% over the next 5 years. Foreign aid. He's giving aid to China. Think about it.
Yeah.
We're borrowing from China and handing them our money at the same time, giving it away. 174 out of the 192 nations in the world receive U.S. aid. That's how low the bar is. If they breathe, we give them money. It's really shocking. Spending in Congress is being pushed up to levels commonly found in European countries. And we have to send a message to Congress. We Americans don't want to be Europeanized. We have a president who has turned the rule of law into rule by waivers and cronyism. Our government has been hijacked by people who don't share our values or value our freedom. We have a president who disregards the fundamental limits on government power embedded in the finest document ever created by mankind, the United States Constitution. In conclusion, we need to repeal the Obama health law, rein in the government spending, stop the foreign aid, reduce our dependence on foreign energy, and most importantly, take back our government and our way of life before they are gone forever. This is the fight of our lifetimes. Let's get to work. We can do this. We can do it. So questions? I'm happy to talk about the cases. Yes, sir. Go.
It comes to mind, you know, is it going to be a 5-4 decision? Where do we stand? Because to me, the Supreme Court has been so politicized, particularly with Obama's last two appointees, that I'm really scared that this thing's going to get their blessing. So what are your thoughts?
I'm hopeful for a 5-4 decision. I believe that Kennedy will vote with us. The issue here is the extent of federal power. If government can force you to buy health plans, whether you want them or not and need them or not, government can force you to buy cars to prop up Detroit, stocks and bonds to prop up Wall Street. There is no limit to what they can do to you or demand from you if the court rules that they have this power. There's no limiting principle here. So I'm confident that Kennedy will vote with us. But nevertheless, that's why the election is so important. We've got two lines of defense here, the courts and the electoral process. So we've got to work hard in both areas.
I only hear one candidate really talk about
Can't hear you.
I've only heard one candidate stay
Give her the wireless.
consistent.
Give her the wire.
I've only heard one candidate consistently say that she would repeal Obamacare, and that's Bachman.
Right.
Okay?
Whom I like very much.
Romney, you know, he's still defending Romney Care. And then the other question is, Elena Kagan is not going to recuse herself?
No, she is not. Elena Kagan, unfortunately, has not recused herself. That is over. Once she participated in the decision on whether to take the case, that indicated that she will be participating in the decision on the case. It's an honor system, and the woman has no honor. That's it.
Hi. This is just a little information about Obamacare from the Nurses Association. I recently was to the state conference, and I didn't know what evidence-based medicine was, so I went to a talk on it. And this is where the nurses and the doctors get advice from the computer. And what they're saying is that this is going to be outsourced, and they're talking about this information and advice on best practice coming from overseas, maybe England. I read an article that it might come from Philippines or India. So that's where they'll be getting the directives. And the second thing is also that there's going to be a lot of downgrading of care. Nurses will be the managers of care rather than the caregivers.
Yes. She has put her finger on both the important issues. Thank you very much for doing that. And it's shocking to me that the nursing associations have gotten behind this law. There are two very dangerous trends, and they're both embedded in this law. One is the dumbing down of medicine. If you thought you needed a specialist, now you're going to get, if you're lucky, a physician's assistant. And nurses won't be delivering the care. They will be just managing the care. And the Obama administration is already pouring billions of dollars into, quote, community activities to train very low-skilled people to go into the hospitals and replace high-skilled people. It's really quite shocking. And the second thing, which you also pointed out, and this is so key, and the skeleton, the infrastructure for this was actually embedded into the stimulus law. First law of H.R. 1, the first law passed under the Obama administration. This is why I got onto this to begin with. In that stimulus legislation was all the architecture for controlling the decisions of doctors and nurses by requiring them to use electronic health information technology. They said to you that those electronic health records were for your convenience. If you rush to the emergency room, the record will get there ahead of you. Well, that's wonderful. Who can argue with that? But that's not why they're doing it. They're doing it to control the doctors and nurses. The, quote, best practices will be delivered via those computers. Doctors and nurses will be told how much care to give, what kind of care to give, and they will be penalized if they depart from those recommendations. They're not best practices, they're cheap practices. Yes, ma'am.
The court of public opinion is really important, and Congressman Ryan's Medicare plan was shot down, and premium support sounds like a wonderful idea to me. Do you think that Romney's plan, keeping traditional Medicare and premium support, will work? And what can we do to fight Democrats who say we're pushing Granny off the cliff because we want to reform Medicare?
Well, you're right, there's a real public relations battle. They already pushed Granny off the cliff. The Obama health law devastates Medicare. It takes the choices away from the doctors, and it strips Medicare of its funding and moves it over to Medicaid. It's preposterous to accuse the Republican plans of doing that. It's already been done, and we have to repeal this law to get that money out of Medicaid and put it back where it belongs. The Obama health law hastened the death of Medicare. So that's number one. And number two, I do believe there are several things we can do to put Medicare on a firmer financial footing. But the most important thing we can do is to repeal these other entitlements so that the money is available for Medicare rather than being shifted to these other programs. After we do that, we could help further strengthen the future finances of Medicare by gradually inching up the eligibility age, just a month per year. So when somebody turns 65, they just wait 1 month longer to be on Medicare. It won't have a perceptible impact on their lives, but cumulatively, it will have an enormous impact on the finances of Medicare. So there are ways to improve Medicare without taking the care away, which is clearly the Obama health law agenda. The Obama agenda is to deny care to the elderly. It's obvious. Yes, sir.
I don't need to, well, you referenced all of these enforcement provisions under the Internal Revenue Code, and I believe that the penalty for non-compliance with the Internal Revenue Code's provisions could be criminal, meaning that if you don't have health insurance as mandated by Obamacare, you could face criminal penalties, and that means imprisonment.
I haven't found that in the law. What I found in the law is that the IRS is empowered to keep your refunds, take money directly out of your bank account. And so your assets are in danger. I don't believe that the IRS will have the power to imprison you if you don't buy health insurance, but you will face the penalties. The worst part of this is that this overall has such a devastating impact on the healthcare system that even if you don't sign up yourself for that government-designed health plan, your care is still going to suffer. And that's the issue, not to mention your liberty. Yes, Bill?
We all know we're going to take back the U.S. Senate, take back the White House. And we need people to run. That's always one of my big issues is it comes down to getting our people in those seats versus their people in those seats. So, you've been rumored to be maybe running against Gillibrand. I've seen a couple articles about it.
Very honored by all that support, and I am considering it. I have to alert you that the GOP in New York State is not friendly to people who really want to fight the system. There's got to be a lot of change there.
You have the grassroots.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll get you on the ballot and push you. We don't care about cuts.
Run,
Thank
Betsy,
you.
run.
I really appreciate this voice of support. Yes, in the back. Yes.
Do you think the current war against the drug Avastin, okay, was trumped up by pro-Obamacare people? Because we were saying that American women get drugs that British and European women do not get.
That is
That
correct.
was one of the drugs. So beware of this war against Avastin. It's trumped up, that war.
Yes, thank you. And you are raising a larger issue that's also very important. And I hate to say it, but medical research is being appropriated and corrupted in some cases in order to support the Obama administration's agenda. I'm going to give you 2 examples. President Obama and his director of O&B and later budget director Peter Orszag told Congress and told many audiences that they could reduce by 30% what Medicare pays hospitals to care for seniors without doing harm. So I looked into that claim. They kept referencing a study done up at Dartmouth Medical School that purported to show that seniors treated at higher spending hospitals that provided more care and seniors treated at lower cost hospitals that provided less care had the same outcomes. So I went and read that study. And here's what they did. They pulled a real trick. They only looked at seniors who died within a year. So of course, the seniors at the high-spending hospitals and low-spending hospitals had the same outcomes. They were all dead at the end of the year. Right? What a hoax. In fact, if they had looked at how all seniors fared in the high-spending hospitals versus the low-spending hospitals, they would have found what a study of all hospitals in the state of California recently found. That the seniors treated at the lower spending, lower cost hospitals had a statistically significantly higher risk of dying, whereas the seniors treated at the higher spending hospitals had a much better chance of recovering from their illness, going home, and resuming their active lives. A similar study was done in Pennsylvania and found, once again, that cutting what hospitals are allowed to spend on seniors cuts life short. And that is the Obama agenda. We must oppose that. Just 2 weeks ago, a